Hello, welcome to another edition of Vulcans Football 2015, where we break down the California Vulcans. Last week, we take a look at the standings and break down the upcoming week's opponent. I'm your host, Gary Smith, and I'm joined, as always, on this lovely Tuesday morning by Sports Information Director Matt Keifer. Matt, we should just start scheduling games on Tuesdays because it seems like there's no rain on Tuesday morning when we shoot the show. Not like every Saturday that we've had, it seems like this entire year, where it's been either a threat of rain, definite rain, or an all-day rain.
I mean, my office works on the idea of getting game notes out, try to finish them up on Tuesday mornings, Tuesday evenings. One of those things we put in every week is weather forecast, because everybody wants to know, okay, what to expect. I remember typing in sunny, 72. I don't think it ever got sunny, and I know it never reached 72 degrees on Saturday.
And there's nothing worse than a football game in the rain, but doubling down on that, there's nothing worse than a homecoming football game in the rain, because that's typically one of the biggest days. We did the parade at noon, and literally as soon as the first, you could hear the first beat of the drum for the Cal Marching Band, the rain started coming. I'm like, it's going to be one of those homecomings.
It was one of those things, you get to the field, okay, it's cloudy, overcast, no big deal, be an okay one of those autumn afternoons. Well, it turned out to be basically a monsoon. I mean, you had the homecoming, you got done pretty much with the parade, but then the football game rained pretty much the whole way through. Then I went to soccer, and I couldn't get over how hard it just continued to rain the whole time throughout the soccer game.
And with that weather, affects both teams. But California, in this game, you know, they were taking on an undefeated Clarion squad, probably the surprise of Super Region 1 and maybe the nation right now, or at least going into last week. They were 7-0, kind of a spread it out attack. But California, they changed their offense a little bit. Ground and pound, two running backs, one running back over 100 yards, another running back just under 100 yards.
It's one of those nice features we've seen in recent years with Cal U, not having maybe that one main back they had like with Antoine Bagua or Brandon Lombardi in the early 2000s. It's more now, like you see in the NFL and even D1 approaches, basically where you have two different running backs, maybe even three once you mix in Derek Fiore for third down possessions. It's just a nice compliment to be able to have two different guys and very stark contrasting styles of runners. Jimmy Wheeler, one of those one-cut guys who just hits the hole as fast as he can. John Franklin, a little bit more of the ground and pound kind of guy, but he was one of those guys. He always finds the end zone every game this year. He's the only player in the PSAC to have a rushing touchdown every game. So that's something there for a first-year starter. You'll gladly take that production. When you lost Nick Grissom going into the year, I know Coach Keller was wondering, you're going to find somebody because you always get the yards by somebody, but to have these two complements coming back with Nick Grissom, hopefully coming back 100% next year, it really creates a loaded backfield for the Vulcans.
I'm just going to go hashtag wishbone. Let's bring back the mid-'80s, Oklahoma, Nebraska. I don't think that's going to happen, but it was just one of those games. We got up early, 21, I think it was 21-7 in the first half, and after that, California able to control the ball, kind of put the old rest hold on the Clarion Golden Eagles, and the defense was pretty much in the backfield the entire day on Connor Simmons.
I mean, it's one of those things. Clarion got the ball to start the game. Not a surprise, given their offense. They wanted to get the lead and go from there. Well, they intercept the first possession of the game for Aaron Terry and the Vulcans there. Had a huge return, put him up inside the red zone. And the Vulcans were able to take advantage of red zone opportunities this week, something they've struggled with their last two losses. But being able to get that early lead on them, and then they countered back. But again, once you get 21-7 in the first quarter, you really like your chances in a ball game, even against the Clarion team that could score like they were going into that game. But Connor Simmons, I mean, he definitely showed. He had 6 interceptions on Saturday. That's more than he had the whole year, and he had almost 250 attempts. So the Vulcans definitely messed up something with their coverage, different maybe that he hadn't seen, or maybe it's just a nature they hadn't faced anybody like the Cal U defense, which is also a good possibility.
And whenever that game was going on Saturday, our announcer, Matt Hagee, said that's the 6th interception, and it really didn't feel like, I mean, it was 6 interceptions, but it was a sudden 6 interceptions because you had the one returned all the way, another one almost returned all the way, and a couple others that set up California for good opportunities.
I mean, not only did they set up Cal U good opportunities, there were a couple that stopped Clarion right outside the red zone there. They were the ones maybe that were like one interception, no return yards. Jordan Bowman and Brandon Blair, two guys came to mind there that had those kind of interceptions. It's one of those things, too. You had 6 interceptions. You figure, okay, some corner, some safety is really having a big game, 2 picks. No, it was 6 different guys and 2 D linemen. And one even went for the distance for a touchdown. So as soon as I knew I got that picture, that's one of those things on the website. How many guys, defensive guys, especially D linemen, get those kind of touchdowns? So I knew exactly the picture I wanted to use for the website.
Well, there's nothing better than seeing a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman running an open space with the ball, because it's poetry in motion right there, because those guys, you know, they do the dirty work week in and week out in practice, during the games. They're getting hit, probably 6-7 times a play to finally get a little bit of recognition, get some open space, and get some. It was great to see, and that really fired up the team and the soggy crowd that was still there at Addison Stadium.
I mean, it's just one of those things you said everybody enjoys seeing that kind of thing. It's funny seeing a 29 run down the sideline because not too many D linemen wear 29. But it's even different when you see a guy wear 99. That's just something you don't see that hardly ever. I mean, you can maybe see it back in the 80s with the Fridge Perry, but he wouldn't wear the 90s number. You see it at Baylor with a huge mega man they have inside the red zone. But it's something that doesn't normally happen. Those big guys get the ball.
Well, you'll see on the highlights the one interception, and as soon as the interception happened, player made the jump, try to jump over. I think it was a quarterback or the running back, try to make the tackle. As soon as he goes to the sideline, the entire team was saying that vertical leap, you got to work on that a little bit.
This is one of those things. Those guys, they're working on everything else in their game. They're really not working on their jumping ability. But the hold Clarion down like they did, got 6 picks, got a couple sacks there, and a lot more pressure. That maybe helps some of those interceptions that don't necessarily show up in the box score. But great job by the defense there, and even the offense being able to capitalize on the turnovers. Gary Brown getting a couple of touchdowns. Good to see the Vulcan offense picking back up because the last 2 weeks they've been kind of held down a little bit. But again, looking at those two opponents, there's a reason why. Those are the top 2 teams, the top 3 teams in the West. It's easy to see why they struggle a little bit with those games.
It was kind of interesting to see. As a fan, you never know how a team's going to come out after losing 2 tough rivalry games on the road. Coming into homecoming, of course, everyone's going to be pumped, but you just never know. And then the weather coming in, so it was great to see. The Vulcans came out on firing all cylinders and played a complete game because we're getting to that part of the season towards the end, and every game counts.
I mean, we're going to look at regional rankings. That's when you truly know it's almost playoff time. The Vulcans kept a couple other streaks going as well. They won their 11th straight homecoming game, and they still have not lost to Clarion at home since 2000. So that's 2 numbers that really helped the Cal-U going into that game. You looked at, okay, you have these ones, and you have Clarion being undefeated. Which one of those going to give? And the Vulcans came out victorious on their sides and were able to extend their streaks.
Let's take a look back at this Saturday's homecoming win against Clarion. And as you'll see on the highlights, the game very rainy and horrible weather. So props to our camera people, Steve, Danny, and Ryan, because it was a miserable day, and I can't really tell if they were. It was a great job, so you can't tell if it was raining on camera or not. So great job to them. And after the commercial break, we'll take a look back at the last meeting against this week's opponent, the Gannon Golden Knights. You're watching Vulcans Football 2015 right here on CUTV.
He takes the snap again, play action. This time he goes over the middle, intercepted. It's Aaron Terry at the interception. He's got a lane from him, 40-yard line, trying to follow the blocker for field. 20, 15, down at the 11-yard line. What an interception there by Aaron Terry. It is Terry time. To the field, and Gary Brown to the near side. Harris back to pass. He looks. He fires. He's looking for Gary Brown. It's a touchdown, California. Harris to Brown. It's 6-0 Vulcans. Williams behind him. Back to pass. He's going. He's got his man. Touchdown, Clarion. Evan Ginevro and the Golden Eagles strike right back. He gets the ball. Goes to the right side. Plows his way. Let's see what they call it. Touchdown, California. Sean Franklin, his 8th straight game with a touchdown. 3rd down goal from the 1. He hands to Franklin. He goes in the end zone. Touchdown, California. 20-7 for the Vulcans. What a start here on homecoming. Now Harris goes back past pass. He's going for the home run for Gary Brown's underthrown and intercepted. Simmons, quick pass, loft pattern, looking for his man. Touchdown! My goodness, what a touchdown there. That is the 2nd touchdown by Kevin Ginevro. He'll hand the Wheeler. He cuts it back up the middle. A lot of speed. Jimmy Wheeler, touchdown, California. He takes the snap back to pass. He's got time. He looks, he fires. Lehman, overthrown, intercepted. That's Vondell Bell. Cal's coming with the blitz, and it's intercepted! Cameron Tarver down the sidelines! He's going to take it all the way for the touchdown! Pick 6, California! Simmons takes the snap, play action this time again, deflected at the line, intercepted again! Here goes Tyler Haddock, big man with football! Take it down, still toward the 30-yard line! Unbelievable what's going on today! Harris, low snap, play action. He looks, he fires for Gary Brown. Touchdown, California. California. Gary Brown, his second touchdown of the game on 4th down, and California having some fun in the rain. And it takes the snap, back to pass. He's got time. He looks loft pass. End zone has a man. Touchdown, Kyle Evans. This time Wheeler gets the ball. He's got a lane in front of him. Look out, Jimmy Wheeler bouncing off tackle, loses the football. Picked up by Clarion. Unbelievable. So he gets tackled down here, but Jimmy Wheeler coughs up the ball and gives Clarion new life. Simmons takes the snap, hands off Del Reese Williams. Looks, breaks a tackle, touchdown Clarion. Back to pass, he is on a leap there by Errol Brewster, and it's going to be intercepted. I just called that, David. How fitting is it that Clarion's undefeated season ended by Jordan Bowman, and for Clarion, the glass sipper has shattered.
The time is now, the place is here. Stop running, face your fear. When it all comes down to this, you only get one shot, can't afford to miss. The time is now, the place is here. Stop running, face your fear. When it all comes down to this, you only get one shot, can't afford to miss. So, let's get it, let's go. Go hard and go home.
Since 1937, the Student Association Incorporated, known as SAI, has served the Cal U student body by providing activities, programs, and services. Every enrolled student has the ability to take part in over 125 different clubs and organizations. Managing participation in every SAI activity is easy with OrgSync, a powerful tool for staying connected. Located 1 mile from campus, the SAI farm has 94 acres of meeting and recreational space. SAI, it's your student association. For almost 30 years, CUTV has been the campus and community home for local news, sports, and entertainment. Broadcast in 100,000 homes in southwestern Pennsylvania, CUTV provides complete coverage of Vulcan sports as well as high school football coverage. Broadcast weekly live, CUTV News Center provides coverage of local and campus events, weekend weather, sports highlights, and feature stories. For more information on CUTV, check us out on the web, friend us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter.
Going to be brought down, and it's going to be a touchdown for California. Nice play there and a nice pass completion.
And Gannon will get into the end zone.
As Harris takes a snap, looks right, he's pressured. Blitz is coming, and Harris throws, and it's going to be intercepted at the 1 yard line. Harris takes a snap, he looks left, he throws left, and he has Nadir Brown in the end zone, and it's caught for a touchdown. No field goal needed here as Nadir Brown comes up with a huge reception in the end zone. As Pearson will take the handoff again, and he'll go up the right side, cutting back again, beating a couple tacklers here. He takes it to the outside, a huge block by his receiver, and that's going to go for the touchdown. What a play for Nick Grissom and that California offense. A huge. And now they're going to take the snap now, look to his left and try to throw, but it's going to be overthrown and intercepted. A great interception there for Terry Allen, as we like to call it here at CTV. We'll call it Terry time. Jeff Knox will take the ball, and he'll take it into the end zone for a nice touchdown. And that running game now is just piling on the stats as Jeff Knox puts one in the end zone. As now Harris will take the snap and look left to throw. He has Mike Williams open, and it's going to be intercepted. A tip throw goes into Gannon's favor. He's going to hold on to himself, Nadler is, and he's going to throw over the left side. Intercepted in the end zone. He's going to take it up the right side. He has running room, Zach. He's going to keep going. He has the blocks. He has to beat Nadler. Nadler gets to C.J. Towns before he can get to the end zone. Towns gets to about the 30-yard line. And it's going to be a pitch to Jeff Knox out on the right side. He'll get into the end zone for that nice touchdown run.
Football 2015 right here on CTV. I'm your host, Gary Smith, joined, as always, every Tuesday morning by Sports Information Director Matt Keifer. Matt, we're at the part of the show where we look ahead at this coming week's opponent, the Gannon Golden Knights, and this is may not be too much of a stretch to say this is one of the most important games in Gannon's history because they're fighting for a possible postseason berth.
I mean, actually, I just looked at their website yesterday evening after the regional rankings came out. This is the first time Gannon's ever been ranked in the region. So they're 8th, but with 7 spots this year. 8's not necessarily a bad spot to be in the first week, but this is a Gannon team that basically used that roster from a couple years ago, and it would still be current. We joked about the Harris is always at Edinburgh. Liam Nadler, I think, has been at Gannon since they joined the conference in 08.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
So Brock Jones at running back, same kind of deal there. Mike Zanders on defense, another one of those veteran guys. This is one of those programs that's churning out those 2- and 3-year starters every time you face them. They're up and down the lineup. They don't really replace seniors with maybe a new senior coming up who is a bench player. They replace them with guys who are going to be down the road 2- or 3-year starters. And you can tell by their offense the way they play. Brock Jones, one of their top running backs of all time, and Liam Nadler, unquestionably, they're probably the most prolific player they've ever had in program history.
And Gannon is a team that came into the season, they had pretty much the weight of the world on their shoulders. Their preseason, I believe they're number 1 in the PSAC West preseason coaches poll. And they lost 2 games early on. They got upset by Clarion, and I figured their second Slippery Rock. And you kind of forget about them, but then you look at the record, they've been winning since, and they put themselves in a position to make a late season run, and hopefully California can go up and play spoiler in a place that they've never lost.
That's one of those things since Gannon came in the league, their hiccup game's always been that Mercyhurst game for both of those teams. But the one's supposed to do really well, it's the other team that beats them in that Niagara Cup game. This year, Gannon was able to get the victory in that game. So their only 2 losses, again, are Clarion, who was undefeated at the time and up until this week. But they got their tough part coming up with Slippery Rock and IUP the next 2 weeks. So Clarion may play themselves out of it, but you never know if they get one of those wins, they may play themselves back into it. Where Gannon plays us and then Slippery Rock next week, and then possibly Stroudsburg if they don't make the PSAC. So they're facing 3 teams that can put up some points. And Slippery Rock right now is the odds-on favorite, probably the way they're looking at. They'll probably be the team in the West. So unless Gannon upsets them there, their postseason bid may be falling short again this year.
And Gannon's a unique place to play and watch and work a football game. It's about 4 or 5 blocks from Lake Erie. This time of the year, it's probably going to be, when we get there to set up, it'll probably be 30 degrees. It'll probably top out at about 31 degrees, 32 degrees with a stiff rain. I remember the first time we played at Gannon when Gannon was in the conference. It was a night game this time of year, so brutal place to play a game. And that kind of factors into a little bit, I think, what California was able to do on Saturday. They proved that they can move the ball in bad weather conditions and put points on the board.
Gannon's field is one of those places I think you could see all 4 seasons in one game. Basically, you'll see sun, you'll see rain, you'll see wind. You're going to see a lot of wind, actually, given where it is so close to the lake. So that's one of those things. Special teams is always a huge part of it. It could be a place where you hit a 55-yard field goal, or it could be a place where you struggle to hit a 25-yard field goal just because of the wind. But it's a place, it's hard with the dynamic. You and I have both been there. It's put right in the middle of a downtown block, a bunch of houses around it. Doesn't always draw the greatest number of fans, but since they've won the last 2 years, I wouldn't be surprised to see that number increase, and the expectations coming into this week as well.
And that's pretty much putting a bow on this upcoming week's opponent, the Gannon Golden Knights. And let's take a look, Matt, at what happened in the last weekend of PSAC play, because as we alluded to before, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. In the West, as we talked about before, California over Clarion, 42-28. Mercyhurst and Edinburgh in a shootout 38-28 last Thursday. Gannon, this week's opponent, 43-28 over Seton Hill. And I kind of glossed through those 3 games because this could have been the de facto championship game for the PSAC West as it sits right now. Slippery Rock and IUP. IUP missing several extra points in that game. Slippery Rock winning 40-39.
I mean, it's one of those things. IUP's quarterback, we just saw him basically run the ball, hardly do anything passing. Well, this week he was such a dynamic passer and rusher. He got named Player of the Week in the West, and that hardly ever happens for a team that loses, especially with Slippery Rock, the way Green can put up numbers. I think he had 2 scores and almost 200 yards. But those are 2 tough teams. I mean, Cal just faced them, so I'm sure glad Cal is glad they're in the rearview mirror of those teams. But at the same point, those two teams, they got to keep winning just to keep themselves in contention for PSAC and NCAA playoffs.
And moving over to the PSAC East scoreboards, Shippensburg putting up a 7-burger on Cheney, 70-7.
Their basketball team may struggle to put up 70 points some games, and their football team does it with ease, I think.
And then Kutztown, Kutztown's a team that this year, Matt, you just can't figure them out. Some weeks they show up, put 63 points like they do against a decent East Stroudsburg team, and then some weeks they just go away.
They're the top 3 teams in the East are so close together there, and they're that next one. But you put them, they could be any one of those 3 on a good offensive day for them. I mean, they beat IUP earlier this year and even last year, so they've been able to get some big wins when they needed it in the last recent years.
In this next game, a little bit of an upset, I think. Westchester at home, 33-22 over Bloomsburg. Bloomsburg was a team that looked like, after a couple early losses, had righted the ship, but Westchester trying to play spoiler.
Bloomsburg, if you can make them try to score more than 24, 28 points, you have a good chance because that offense just is not geared for that kind of offensive output. So Westchester being able to get 30 in there, once you get over 30 points against Bloomsburg, I'm pretty sure you would like your chances.
And the last game in the East this past weekend was Millersville hosting Lock Haven. Millersville, good job to them to keep it competitive, but their season misery continues, losing to Lock Haven 36-28.
Millersville's just eyeing up that Cheney game to get that W this year.
And let's take a look at the standings, starting with the PSAC West. Clarion and Slippery Rock still 4-1, 7-1. IEP also at 4-1, so you got pretty much a 3-way logjam at the top. And then you got Gannon, California, right there in the middle, right lurking.
3-2 there. I mean, Gannon, Clarion, Slippery Rock, IUP are going to play each other, so at least one of those teams are going to get 2 losses, maybe 2 of them, to which then if Cal would win out, you may be able to get a chance to sneak in there and at least be thinking maybe some upset if you get some help that last week or so of the regular season.
And really, this year, the West it's been a good division for football. Because if you look on the right side of the overall records, you go all the way down to Mercyhurst, 4-4, and really Seton Hill's
not a 2-win
team.
Not a 2-win. The way they put up some points, they're better than that. And I'm still not sold that they'll finish the year with 2 wins. I think they'll get another one, maybe 2.
And let's look over at the PSAC East, where there's going to be all kinds of chaos going in the end. As Shippensburg, Bloomsburg, Westchester, all 4-1 at the top. Then Stroudsburg and Kutztown both at 3-2. But you see, on the other side, 6-2, 5-3.
Their only hope of making the NCAA playoff out of the East is Shippensburg winning the whole thing or losing a close PSAC tournament playoff game. Because if Bloomsburg and Westchester get to the state game and lose that one, I don't know if you can ever take a team with 4 losses in the NCAA playoffs, even given 7 teams this year and the mess in the CIAA.
Yeah, whenever I was typing the standings, because obviously we both saw Shippensburg and Bloomsburg against California. Bloomsburg out of the 2 teams I thought was the better team. Shippensburg because I didn't think they had a defense that could last the entire season.
Yeah, their quarterback was a first-year starter when we saw him. It was only his 2nd or 3rd career start, so I'm sure he's gotten better. And Coach Mack there, he's found a way since he's taken over as the head coach. They're always in it. They don't really ever get blown out of games too often, so I'm not too surprised with Shippensburg being able to get 1 win. But again, I still get the Westchester-Bloomsburg Ship 3-way tie. They're probably not done playing each other, so there'll be a way at least that tie will be broken, you would think.
And moving on into this week's show, let's take a look at the first regional rankings of the 2015 season. First ever with 7 teams. So I guess
that's something new there.
Shepherd, they're always, it seems like, in the top 4 every year when the regional rankings come out.
Maybe a year like a Concord last year sneaks in there and takes them out of the MEC. But overall, Shepherd, MEC, WVIAC, whatever you want to call it, they're going to be in the top 10.
SEC, Shepherd, Bowie State, Charleston, Slippery Rock, Assumption, Clarion, Virginia Union, those would be the teams as they start. If the playoffs would start today, Shepherd would have the bye. Then you see Gannon and IUP right there. So this is a big game for Gannon against California. Another thing to look at, Bowie State, they're number 2. Apparently there could be some sanctions, ineligible players. I guess the NCAA is doing an investigation. There's not a lot of information out there, but there's been some rumblings that they could have a couple wins vacated.
It's one of those things there. The CAA, last year they got Virginia State in there, and they've had Winston-Salem State in the past. They always get somebody in. It's just a matter of who's it going to be. Virginia Union might be the benefactor if something would happen with Bowie State because Winston-Salem and Virginia State, their seasons have not gone the way they have in the past in recent years.
Let's take a look at this coming week's schedule. Everything will be started by 1:05, and that's got to be great for everyone writing stories and working games because that means it's a early night getting back home. Slippery Rock in Edinburgh, Seton Hill Mercyhurst. Out of these games, Matt, other than the Cal Gannon game, what's the game you would be looking at as a fan, or also if you were looking for regional
after
implications?
just looking at the regional rankings, Indiana and Clarion has the most impact with 2 teams in the top 10 right there. That Bloomsburg-East Stroudsburg game could be interesting too, just because East Stroudsburg, they got held down on offense last week. And they can put up some points with Soltz as their quarterback, and if he goes off for one of those basically 300-yard games, 85 yards rushing, I don't think Bloomsburg has enough power to stay with him, and with that, Bloomsburg basically would be completely out of it. But you never know, Bloomsburg on the road might be able to pull off that, I don't know if it'd be an upset, but get that W over to the Warriors.
And I'm going to look, it's not going to factor in any regional implications, but that Seton Hill Mercyhurst game, I think that could be the game where Seton Hill could pick up that third victory. Mercyhurst, fighting the injury bug, has had a down year. Seton Hill, we've seen them when they played us. They've been playing teams tough. They could go up to Erie and pull off the upset.
Yeah, it's definitely one there. I mean, Mercyhurst doesn't have quite the offensive firepower they had last year when we went to that basically barn burner up there. But if they did, it'd be a heck of a track meet with Seton Hill's offense and Mercyhurst if they were slinging the ball around. But I think it'll be a good game to watch there. You got 2 good games in Erie on Saturday at noon. It'll be interesting to see where the fan base goes. And even Edinburgh, technically, if you want to go Erie County, all 3 Erie County schools will be home. So I don't think you'll necessarily have a huge crowd at any one of those because they're splitting themselves up 3 ways. But it'll be a busy day for the Erie Times News with all those games up there.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. That is going to be a crazy day up there. You rarely see that for football. Basketball, you see it sometimes, but rarely you see all 3 teams at home for football. And speaking of making the trip up to Erie County, California at Gannon, Halloween. So dress up in your red and black and orange, and go up there and help make Gannon University feel like Adamson Stadium, because it's going to be a good game. The game is going to be live on 91.9 FM WCAL, and you can also catch the CUTV rebroadcast Monday at 6, Tuesday at 4. And I know Gannon will be taking our video feed for their web stream. It'll be their audio, but it'll be our video. So you can at least see the replays and everything like that as you normally would. So, Matt, final thoughts? This is a big week for Vulcan football.
I think Cal just needs to keep building on that momentum they got last week. Got 2 huge wins against those Erie County schools that have sometimes been problematic, more Mercyhurst than Gannon, but Gannon's gotten a lot better than the time we faced them 2 years ago. So it'll be an interesting matchup here this year at Gannon University Field, or whatever they're calling it now, because they did get a new name for it. It's about 800 names long, 800 words long now, though.
Well, make sure, like I said, if you can make the trip up to Gannon, it's about a 3-hour drive, but it's a unique venue to watch a football game, and every little bit helps, because, like I said, this is basically an elimination game for one of the 2 teams. Gannon in the regional rankings, California not in the regional rankings. You would think that a lot of things would have to break to have a playoff run, but can't have that happen without a win on the road against Gannon. So noon on Saturday, Gannon. If you can't make it, listen to it on 91.9 FM WCAL, or watch us on the tape delay on CUTV Monday at 6, Tuesday at 4, or on our YouTube channel at CUTV Sports 1. For Matt Keifer, I'm Gary Smith. You're watching Vulcans Football 2015 right here on CUTV.